Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's LinkedIn Live. We have another special guest. I just keep being blown away with the quality of the talent we're able to bring to you. Today, I have Craig Clay, who is the president of DFIN, which is short for Donnelly Financial Solutions, and we will talk more about that shortly. I actually have a history with Donnelly in my far past, so we can talk about that too. But this is an organization with a really interesting story, both in terms of their backstory. They started out as a paper company in Chicago, but also what they have transformed into today, which will be really interesting for us to all learn more about. And of course, Craig has an interesting story as a leader as well. So thanks, Craig, for joining us today.
Great. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. So I thought maybe we could just start with this interesting story of the organization. So in my far past, one of the things that reported to me at Compaq Computer a million years ago was the print shop. And so R.R. Donnelly showed up a lot in that world. So was a client, the previous incarnation of this organization. But you've now transformed yourself into this global tech company. Can you talk a little bit about this journey for the organization?
Sure. I joined that company, R.R. Donnelly, a long time ago, 25 years ago, at least. And I joined in a business unit of the company that was called Donnelly Financial. So within this massive printing company that did catalogs and magazines and books, Harry Potter and Sears catalog, etc., which is what most people were familiar with, there was a small business unit that was doing financial printing. So at the time, we were supporting lawyers, investment bankers, companies in their process of going public, going private, going through their life cycle. And a key part of that was print. So that's how the process started out of R.R. Donnelly. So over these years, I've seen the company, the business unit, take a number of twists and turns. We've made many technology acquisitions over the years, which I've been very excited to be a part of. And then what was really exciting is that 5 years ago, in 2016, R.R. Donnelly broke itself up. So they spun two companies out and then retained the R.R. Donnelly company. So R.R. Donnelly is now public or private. The other business unit is now gone, and you have DFIN, Donnelly Financial Solutions. So we were really excited to spin out of R.R. Donnelly to be a standalone company with no association back to the parent, and really to accelerate and double down our investment, which is helping, again, the same clients through their entire business life cycle. So it's from startup to initial fundraising, to public listings, to mergers and acquisitions, and all of the technology now that supports that. Print is really a de minimis, sort of it's an output, much like a PDF or a web file, something you file at the SEC. It's really the technology that we're providing to make it easier for our clients, whether that's artificial intelligence, contract analytics, disclosure tools where you're able to create and iterate, all with sort of bank-like that our clients require.
Yeah. Well, super interesting. Yeah, maybe you could talk a little bit about how you support clients. I know you've worked with some big names like Lyft and Square and Tesla, PayPal. And there's been a history of sort of taking companies, working with companies, supporting them and going public, sometimes going back private again. What is the technology that you utilize to do that?
Sure. It's a investment and a transformation, and we have an array of technologies from sort of more the traditional. So we have a lot of clients who want to work as they did 10, 20 years ago. We have a really powerful platform for that. So I would say it's the process of sort of moving documents back and forth, allowing clients, to iterate on those. So we have that sort of traditional path. But where all of our growth and where we're really excited about is one product in particular. It's called Active Disclosure. It really allows companies to iterate and create an IPO, as an example, and bring in an amazing amount of detail and working groups. So you've got potentially multiple auditors, multiple law firms, underwriters, all of them converging in this document. And it's allowing them to assign permission, have the iteration, having the accept and reject. It's connecting the financials, which is so critically important, to their ERP. So whether that's Flowcast, or SAP, those last mile of financials are pulled into Active Disclosure so that you're sure you have the very latest and are reporting the latest. So it's an amazing product that allows the presentation form to come out of it. So if I wanted to send you a formal version of that, I could choose a number of outputs. It certainly files with the SEC. And then that connected to our virtual data room. So clients want to house data, want to share that data with various folks and have a trail of who's accessed it, where it's watermarked, again, all with bank-like security to make sure that their pre-market important information is safe.
Sure. Wow, those are not organizations that I think about, and when I think about the word collaborate, and yet they need to collaborate in order to make these financial documents occur the way that they should. That's just fascinating. So you chose this small unit of our Donnelly. Did you see the possibilities for where it might go? Was that part of how you got there?
Honestly, as a young person, I think it was my third job. No. The answer, no. It was a fantastic job opportunity. I started actually in our Los Angeles office, which was super exciting for somebody from Texas. It was when I arrived that you realize you're at the nexus. The most important or sort of business related highlights. You mentioned Tesla, whether it's the IPO, whether it's all their journey since, whether it's helping their CEO with all the activities that he has in the news, you're at the very crux of that. So as my first day in California and you realize that the fast-paced nature of it, the clients that you're dealing with and working with are, amazing leaders of business, smart bankers, lawyers. It was just a very exciting place to be. So after I was there, I did realize the amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
And then over these years, the amazing opportunity to really transform that. So an industry that is slow to change, we're providing really the most advanced technology and then allowing our clients to work the way that they want to work.
Yeah. Wow. That's not dissimilar to my Compact story. It just was a great opportunity. And so I took it. Of course, we had no idea what Compact was going to grow up to be. It's certainly not in my wildest dreams would it go on to be what it was. So yeah, I think right time, right place trumps a lot of other things.
Yeah.
If you can couple that with the hard work to continue on with the organization and grow with it. I know one of the services or products that you offer is called Deal Maker, which I'm particularly interested in since I sometimes help organizations integrate after M&A activity. But you have a Deal Maker meter. Could you talk about what that is and what it tells us?
Sure. So we're really excited about all you sort of mentioned post-merger integration. Artificial intelligence tool, as well as a security data protect tool. So we're really bringing those things together to advantage our clients. So if you think about an integration of an acquisition, those documents are housed typically in our virtual data room. You used to have a physical room where people would go rifle through paper. Now all of that is done online. You then, at the end of the acquisition, have this amazing library that then can be coupled with the company that acquired it or the entity that acquired it. And we provide these tools. So we provide these tools to analyze and help with integration, whether that's HR, whether it's contracts, whether it's leases, from a real estate perspective. our artificial intelligence is able to rip through all of that data and provide you back with information. And because it's true AI, it learns. So if you're more interested in the employment side, if someone else is interested in the real estate side, if someone is doing financial work, it starts to learn what you're looking for. If you're needing to find all the references to LIBOR as that calculation has changed, you're able to use artificial intelligence to hone in on that. And then on top of it is this data protect, which is the data security and privacy. So you're also able to comply with GDPR and California Privacy Acts, and to redact and to ensure that the information that you're sharing has the protections that you need from a PII perspective. So it's a really important tool. It's a very modern tool.
Yeah.
We think it's really helping advantage clients and getting deals done more quickly. It certainly isn't replacing anybody. So I think years ago, the concern was, oh, it's going to replace people. No, it is replacing rote tasks. It is making people more efficient and effective. If somebody was having to look for LIBOR for days, it's cutting that in half. It's really allowing people to focus on the knowledge part of it versus just the administrative part of it.
Sure. And I imagine copy machine makers are the only organization that really lost out here, because I just remember thousands of copies being made somewhere. So
one part to just add to that is it coupled with because we had all these tools and because we were moving there, that on the immediacy of everybody is suddenly, we were able to bring everybody together in a virtual world.
Yeah. Just wonderful. You mentioned security, certainly GDPR and others, in terms of data privacy. I just remember rooms locked up file cabinets with this information in it. So what are your protocols, or how are you keeping all of the data itself safe?
Yes. We are launching a wonderful new trust section on our website where, a lot of clients want to know just that. And what we found right now, we talk a lot about our security, whether it's multi-factor authentication, whether it's the watermarking, whether it's all of the pieces that are fortified as we go to market, our SOC 2, Type 2 audits. We have very modern technology, which is another advantage that DFIN has, is that a lot of companies have aged technology. It's 10 years old, which is old.
Yeah.
We've got the most recent sort of fit for purpose, born in the cloud, anti-malware, encryption, firewall. So really pushing all of that in our modern software and then promoting it. So it's across all of our products, whether it's Active Disclosure, whether it's our Venue virtual data room. Security has become such an important part of what we do. And on our trust site, you're going to be able to see and look at all of that. You'll be able to sign an NDA and actually get the documents that would prove that, or that somebody, CISO may want to. We're really pushing security to the forefront, which we think is a competitive advantage as our competitors talk about it, but we're really going to put the proof out there and make it public.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you've done a fair amount of M&A in this technology space, I imagine, to bring all these together. How have you gone about integrating that?
Yeah, it's an important part of finding the great technology. So what we listen to our clients, they'll often talk about that tool they're using to solve a problem. It's how we've acquired several of our great technologies. Once you determine something's out there that's really adding advantage, when you start to test it, we typically partner, we'll co-sell, and then we would acquire it. Part of the integration that's so important is that you lift the people into the organization, you quickly integrate them, make them part of DFIN. And then from a technology perspective, that you really make that technology easy for their clients to access, whether it's a standalone or whether it's a feature. Quickly make sure that it's accessible to clients so that you can drive that value.
Yeah, terrific. I spoke with the CEO and founder of PandaDoc a few weeks ago, and that's their sales strategy. They said, when people use our product, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And so multiple people are using it, and they want to know what it is that made this thing so easy that seems so difficult.
And we PandaDocs, DFIN and PandaDocs.
Oh, terrific.
PandaDocs use it.
Wonderful. So lots of fabulous offerings that are current and new current technology. What's next for DFIN? What do you see in terms of what your clients need and that you'll be able to offer?
Sure. There's a couple of things. I think I'll probably touch on two. One is ESG. So ESG has become certainly a very popular thing to talk about in the media. So it's, our software and advisory services is really helping our clients understand what's going on. So you've got regulations in Europe, you've got proposed regulations at the SEC that potentially will be finalized in October to the first part of 2023. But we're really helping those stakeholders understand the big picture, but more importantly, to comply, to talk about what they're doing. A lot of companies are doing things already. So we have a process of identifying their 5 top things, how they compare to their peer. We're helping them render that and creating a little fact sheet. Many of our clients have posted that on their website. A lot of clients, are certainly touting their diversity initiatives, which were required to be filed in last year's 10K. So we're really taking all of that and helping them be leading edge with ESG, and as well giving them the confidence that whatever happens, we're going to help them. Then probably another piece that we're focused on is there's a lot of legislation out there, the Financial Transparency Act, which is just about good governance. It's about transparency. You and I pay taxes. How is that money spent? And there's bills and legislations that are, in essence, to expand sort of like another version of the SEC, where companies and our government who's spending with companies would just report what that is, and we would all have access to it. Steve Ballmer's done a lot of great work in this area. He has something he calls America's 10K. So he publishes what he thinks of as America's, annual report. He does that using our active disclosure software. We do the collaboration for them, and we publish the beautiful rendered version. So we're doing a lot of work with good governance and transparency.
Yeah.
I think with transparency, everything sort of works its way out.
Yeah. I was fortunate to be at the Stanford Directors College last week and for board director education, and we probably spent half our time on ESG issues, right? So these are all things that boards should be paying attention to, and there were, I don't know, maybe a half dozen issues that were most important, but there was a lot of ESG education and, of course, transparency. So you're going to be super useful. But I think particularly this comparison with peers, because that's often what companies struggle with is, there are a lot of things we could do, but what should we do and what can have the most impact? And trying a software company, for example, that's not data, doesn't have big data centers, it can be hard to come up with measures for.
Absolutely.
So terrific. All right, well, let's shift a little bit and talk about you. Your leadership, and in addition to Donnelley itself. I just noticed you went to SMU and to Baylor. I share that I'm an Aggie. I did spend one semester at Baylor. I graduated early from high school, and they let me, begin. And it was just wonderful institutions. So I'm curious how you got from Texas to Los Angeles, which is where we started this story.
Right. A person who had started with DFIN in Dallas referred me to the job, and then the rest is history. And I was only in LA. I loved LA. Probably less than 2 years, and then I've been in the New York area ever since.
Okay, terrific. So you have a really strong background in sales and go-to-market. And it seems like that's a lot of what you did for DFIN. But you're now leading this big global team of more than 2,000 employees in like 12 dozen different countries. I'm curious about some leadership lessons that you might have learned along the way, or do you have leadership tenets that you use that help you with this broad global workforce?
Yes. I think given the history that we have,
Mhm.
it's important to bring in a lot of diversity of thought, and as well then to integrate that with the legacy organization and create a culture where you're not disavowing the past,
Mhm.
but you are creating something that is transformative. I'm a huge fan of Adam Grant, of his book Think Again, which is it's about unlearning to then learn.
Mhm.
So and you can make a mistake to think that that's the way that they really want to work,
Yeah.
when in fact you don't want to fool yourself. It's sort of a danger to think that you know enough, or even that your client knows enough, because then you can provide them with something that's really great and something that's really
Mhm.
transformative. So I'm a huge believer in pushing that envelope of educating our employees, challenging our employees, but as well educating our clients on new ways we can do things, still letting them provide the way that they want to work, but really, again, through technology and integration, putting new ways in front of them, having them pop up with 5 insights that they're getting from artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
Because before, you go to them and you say, hey, if you log into this tool and use this tool, you'll be advantaged, versus they're logging in and sort of seeing,
Yeah.
here's the top 5 change of control, references. And they're like, wait a second, like that's really interesting. And so they dive into that. So it's sort of allowing clients to work the way they want to work, but putting really great technologies in front of them to really advantage and make it easier for them to do the work that they do.
Yeah. So, how do you go about finding diversity of thought in an industry that maybe hasn't had it before?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're a really unique industry, but we've found a lot of amazing people through other technology companies. So certainly that's a
Mm.
key part of our business. If you also think about the regulatory nature of our business, we found some amazing analogous folks who are really challenging the norms within healthcare, within medical sales, where you're having to manage a really complex process that's moving very quickly. So we found a number of niches where we're able to pull those folks and bring a lot of diversity of experience to us. And then you really elevate that and they challenge, sort of how we're doing things, and how we could be doing things better.
Mm. Great. Yeah. Sort of this intersection of fintech and regtech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. So, my last question, Craig. In my consulting business, my tagline is up and to the right because that's the spot on the 2x2 matrix where we always want to be. And I wonder if there was a moment in your career when you knew that you were moving in that direction, because you obviously a super successful leader. How did you know you were on that path?
Yeah, there's been a number of great. You sort of look back and you're like, wow, I'm at ostensibly the same company. It's not. So at many
Right.
junctures, and I'll spare you the twists and turns. It's a very, very different place. Post the spin, we were working really hard to undo and sort of stand up a lot of systems and work. It was a pretty detailed process. So the most recent point, to answer your question, up and to the right, was really, so when you had this, we had just had a global sales meeting in February of 20, and the week before, we had to uninvite our APAC team. So the meeting went forward, but it's sort of like we had pre-rel on the tables, and it's sort of like, what's happening? And 4 weeks later, we're all at home here in my third floor office. And it was really that moment, and leading through that moment. Obviously, it was terrifying, right? I'm outside of New York. It was very, upsetting here. You have a huge employee base, you're serving clients, your business is dropping, like you're dealing with vendors. those months, from the shutdown of March,
Yeah.
through the summer, at the juncture of that, as you got into sort of the August, September, October, I really realized we have delivered something that is extraordinary and we have an opportunity to do even more. So to pivot even greater into the technology space, recurring revenue, or technology products, that the transformation that we've been working on, you don't really realize it until these sort of crisis moments,
Right.
had worked.
Hmm.
And the work ahead is probably equal, but as you look back, you're like, this company really delivered. And because of that, I'm so super excited about the future, about what we can do in the next few years.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a wonderful place to end, right? Super excited about the future, and congrats on having all those parts and pieces in place so that you could rise to the occasion during this, hopefully, once in a
Right.
century, right, event that we've had. So thanks again for joining me today. And I'll put a couple of links in the comments below this, particularly referencing Adam Grant's fabulous book. So thanks again.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karen.